Welcome back. You're watching the Urban Debate on Mirror Now. I'm Faye D'Souza. We're focusing on demonetization. It is the eve of the first anniversary. It's been a year since demonetization was announced and it played out in this country. The reason why we're bringing it up today is, apart from the fact that we brought you an expose on how jewelers are still accepting large amounts of cash for jewelry, we have to also take stock of what happened in the last 1 year. There was a war of words that took place today between the former Prime Minister, Dr. Manmohan Singh, and the current Finance Minister, Mr. Arun Jaitley, about whether or not demonetization actually worked and what its impact was on our economy. For us as regular citizens, there are some things we remember vividly about the last 1 year. Long lines in front of ATMs, being locked out of our own bank accounts for several weeks, the lack of cash in the system, 132 deaths that were perhaps not accounted for and not apologized for, and finally, what resulted in job loss. We have to also be able to understand whether that job loss was directly a result of demonetization, was it a larger slowdown, and has it really affected our economy? Has demonetization hurt or helped India? That's the question we're asking this evening, and our phone lines are open because I also want to know what you feel as a as a citizen. I must also tell you that I started a Twitter poll this morning on my Twitter account that will stay live for the next 24 hours, asking this very question. 60% of the people on the Twitter poll said demonetization has helped India. Only about a little over 38% said it has hurt India. It will continue to be live for the next 1 day, and we'll find out what those final results are towards this time tomorrow evening. But we have an evenly split panel this evening of people who believe yes, it has hurt and yes, it has helped. We also have invol.in that's open for you, where you can leave in your comments or you can pick up the phone and call us. But joining us on the show this evening, Arvind Gupta of the BJP. We're glad to have him with us. Mohammad Khan of the Congress. Mohan Guruswamy is an economist. He's the chairperson and founder of the Centre for Policy Alternatives. He's also advisor to former Finance Minister Yashwant Sinha. Asim Sanyal is the Chief Operating Officer of Consumer Voice. Mr. Prashant Bhushan is a senior advocate, and Mr. R.R. Chaturvedi is the chairman of the Shripati Group. He's also the advisor of NAREDCO, which is an association of developers. It's an interesting angle and an interesting point of view to bring in from the real estate industry. I'm going to open this up for opening arguments. This is a debate where everybody will make points and everybody will get an opportunity to rebut. I'll start with Mr. Prashant Bhushan. Mr. Bhushan, where do you stand on demonetization? Has it hurt or has it helped India?
I think demonetization has been an utter disaster. It's been an unmitigated disaster. It firstly caused immense hardship and agony to common people during those few months when not enough cash was available in the banks. People had to struggle to pay their children's school fees, to buy farmers, to buy seeds for sowing. All kinds of problems people had to endure. And it resulted in a huge job loss, running into millions of jobs lost in the aftermath of demonetization. What did we get? The government says that it got some 16,000 crores, which is the money which they claim hasn't come back to the banks, and even that is without counting the notes which went back to the cooperative banks or which went back to the foreign banks, some of which, a large part of which has not yet been counted. If the goal was to get 16,000 crores of black money vanished from the system, then it could have been accomplished far easier by just getting Ambani and Adani and some other large corporates to cough up of the black money which the investigating agencies of our country had found them to have siphoned out of this country by over-invoicing, etc. The DRI had done this investigation for SR and Adani. The income tax had done it for Anil Ambani's company for $750 million, and the Indian High Commission in Singapore had done it for this Mukesh Ambani's companies for 6,500 crores. If the government had just recovered that, they would have got far more than the 16,000 crores and would have saved the people of this country this immense hardship that they had to face as a result of standing in queues, not having cash, as well as loss of jobs.
Arvind Gupta of the BJP, do you want to respond to that? Has demonetization helped or hurt India?
Faye, I will take some time to respond to both your opening statements as well as what in general the rhetoric that is being built, and I would like to use some facts and figures to counter some of them. I personally consider demonetization as a watershed moment in building the new India. It was the start of the new normal. But what is very important is that demonetization was not in isolation. It was built up over the previous 2.5 years and is still being built up going forward. Now let me explain that. SIT was set up immediately after the Modi government came into power. A black money law was brought into place. There's a lot of tax treaties that have been done on data sharing. Two very important things were done. Parallelly, more than 220 million, which is 22 crore bank accounts were opened. The Jan Dhan accounts, which people mocked before November 8th, but now have been put to great use. And a Benami law, which was for Benami property, has been put into action. There was an income disclosure scheme, if you remember, which closed on the 30th of September last year. And so a window was given to people. Now, all of this was a work in progress, and demonetization was the next step. And I will come to the steps further than that. And demonetization, somebody is talking about 16,000 crores. The bigger picture of demonetization is that 3 lakh crores, almost $45 billion less cash, is what we are operating at today. The results of demonetization are that the Jan Dhan accounts for the poor are being used again. The impact of demonetization is that 2,24,000 companies, which were operating on an average of 100 accounts each, to do nothing but route money, have been caught and penalized. The impact of demonetization is 420 such thousand directors have been banned from doing this. So all shell companies have been tracked, and more will be tracked. More than 17 lakh suspicious transactions have been discovered. And now let me tell you this number. These transactions have deposited over $40 billion, $45 billion into the banking system. Only this many people. So it is a massive exercise that has been taken. And yes, there was a pain during the first 50 days in which the whole country participated. And I think the benefits of demonetization in the banking, the loans, the loan rates coming down, the banking system becoming more formal, the tax base increasing, the digital economy really picking up, and that's a very accountable economy, are vast and are forever. So I'm very surprised when people who are either corruption crusaders or black money crusaders make these points that demonetization did not utter the results. Today, more and more accounts in India are getting linked to the right KYC. So you cannot have Benami. And when the plumbing is fixed, mark my point, when the plumbing is fixed, you cannot have wrong kind of money flowing through them. The shell business will go away. So the benefits of demonetization are immense. We are seeing a great increase in digital payments. Tax bases have increased. And the forward steps of digital taxation of GST, which the whole value chain has to be GST. So this over-invoicing business has to go away and will go away with GST implementation.
So let me bring in Mohan Guruswamy.
There are further steps that are being taken and are continuously in progress.
Yes. Let me bring in Mr. Mohan Guruswamy, economist and advisor to the former finance minister. Mr. Guruswamy, I've taken down 10 of the points that were made by Arvind Gupta. The question that we should now ask is, could any or all of these things have been done without demonetization through the legal means available to the government? But Mr. Guruswamy, your arguments on whether or not you believe demonetization was good for us.
First of all, Faye, it was not demonetization. It was a note exchange scheme. Demonetizes when you completely change the basis of currency and you shut down this old rupee system and replace it with something new. So the term demonetization itself is wrong, and the government has understood it wrongly. What you had is a simple note exchange. You wanted to remove the high denomination notes from the system. You could have just given a time of 6 months or 8 months and said, in this period come and change your notes and fill up that form where you said, where this money came from, and whatever. This has been done in other countries. Right now in Europe, the 500 euro note is being removed from the system. And this is how it's happening in a very orderly manner. You see, what you had here was drama, unnecessary drama. They called it the wrong name. And then they said, by tomorrow all this becomes invalid. You'll have to go and exchange. Your lines, there's chaos in the market. Net result is, and what did the Prime Minister say? He said, I'm going to remove black money. I'm going to remove terrorist funding. I'm going to remove counterfeits. Now, black money, 96% of incomes on which taxes are evaded, which is black money, actually becomes kind. It becomes property, it becomes jewelry, it becomes Benami shares, it becomes money abroad. Now, only 4% remains as cash. This imagination that people are sitting on bundles of cash, sacks of cash under their mattress like Sukram is all wrong. Only politicians are stupid enough to keep money in bundles in their homes. But businessmen know what they're doing. People who earn money know what they're doing. They don't get rich by being stupid. So the money goes out, it's invested elsewhere. Benami laws are always there, but people don't care for it. There are all laws. We have so many laws and nobody bothers about it. And that is a problem. So, you're having a Benami law now, it was already there before. You couldn't hold anything under false pretexts. Then there was a question of, they said money will not come back. People will be scared. The 3 lakh, 4 lakh crores will not come back. Everything came back. Only 18,000 crores got left behind. Then they said, counterfeit is a huge problem. And what did the RBI find? They found 42 lakhs, 42 crores as counterfeit money. Terrorists are still getting money. There's no counterfeit money. All the black money has come back into the system. And now you'll realize taxes on some of that money. And you might get 50,000, 60,000 crores as taxes out of it, which is fine. It's a good thing. But what did it cost you? It costed you 2% of GDP. The loss is estimated that, which means 3.2 lakh crores has gone out. New notes cost 40,000 crores rupees. Endless losses. I mean, this is not an act of, of intelligence. It's an act of utter madness. You had all false presumptions that this will happen, that will happen. Nothing happened. People got the money back in. That's because, a lot of people hold cash. They do business in cash. 40%, 410 million people out of the workforce of 440 million people are in the informal sector. They're on daily cash transactions. What you did is go and destroy that system. Send people back home. 22 million construction workers went home. Millions of small retailers got wiped out. What was the purpose of all this? That is what we're asking. They said digitalization, number of new taxpayers, growth has actually slowed down. Last year it grew by 27%, this year it grew by 23%. They're giving tax figures, 9.9 lakhs crores have gone up, but it was even better last year. The rate of growth has come down. You've got to see these figures in relation with the past. That they're not doing. So I think overall, this has been an unnecessary exercise. It would have been done peacefully, carefully, and it hurt people.
We hurt people. That's Mohan Goswami's point, is that we've hurt people.
In UP, and this is
right.
This is rubbish. Even Hitler won elections.
Let me just bring in Mr. R.R. Chaturvedi. Mr. Guruswamy, let me bring in R.R. Chaturvedi on the point of construction workers, because Mr. Chaturvedi is a developer and he's advisor to Neredco. How many jobs have been lost across the real estate sector? And do you believe, one of the arguments that we were given in the previous 1 hour of discussion is that real estate prices have come down, interest rates have come down, so that's a good thing for India. Do you buy that argument?
No.
Why not?
Faye, last time when you called me in the same channel,
yes,
when the demonetization was in progress,
yes,
I had openly said we'll be losing about 20 million workers. Workforce would be lost in construction activity. And that has happened today. We were talking that day our GDP would go down by 2%. That has happened because of demonetization. My only concern is the stage of demonetization was wrong. Our Prime Minister had a good vision. But the sequencing, the implementation, when you say you have been working over for 2.5 years, then the stage map, the road map for demonetization could have been better. If we at all go for demonetization, then the GST should have been the first implementation. After GST, then should have been the demonetization. The people would have digested GST in a better way. Today what has happened, because of demonetization, people have not come out. Suddenly they got a slap of GST, and both these things have crushed the industry. Really, our industry has been working under full year on negative thoughts only, negative parameters. First is demonetization, second is RERA, the third is our GST impact. And today the buyers were confused today whether to go ahead or to wait and watch. So there are no new launches practically in past 1 year.
Tell me something. A construction worker who lays cement or bricks or works on a construction site, can they get jobs anywhere else? How many of these workers, if they lose their jobs like this en masse, where do they go? Who will employ them?
Today I'll tell you, there have not been new launches in past 3 years practically. No new launches of new projects. Only the old projects what were going to get completed, they have got stuck. The workers have left the site. There are no workers, construction workers available on site today. Whosoever are available, they tell you very clearly, they tell the contractor, we need cash, we don't want any bloody nonsense of yours. I don't know how the labor contractors are mechanizing the process, because we have appointed labor contractors. In turn, they are appointing subcontractors. They are trying to do all that part of it. But ultimately, the mechanism is cash payment only. We cannot stop that cash payment to the workers. Only we have increased the steps. And the steps what has been added upon. Today, there is a cash flow problem, liquidity problem, agreed. But the cash has not gone out of the system.
I'm going to come back to you on the question of bribery and where that cash is going as well. But Asim Sanyal of Consumer Voice, Asim Sanyal, where do you stand on whether or not demonetization has helped or hurt us? I see your hand up, Arvind Gupta. Once everyone's made their opening statements, I'll come back to you. Asim Sanyal, please.
Yeah, the first and foremost thing that as a consumer activist I would say is that this demonetization process should have been actually advocated during the opening up of the economy, because it is a necessary evil, and I do not agree with a lot of other speakers on this, because it is a necessary evil will bring downturns, in fact, in economy. This was demonstrated in the last 1 year of implementation of demonetization. The important fact to remember is that what was the government
26 years too late, right?
The government was actually targeting a GDP, a cash GDP of approximately 12.8 to 13%, which was floating around maybe as a black money or generally as cash transaction. We were actually also looking at a high cash volume black market of around 86% of the total cash volume that was floating around. So the reasoning behind demonetization cannot be questioned. The timing can be questioned, whether before GST or after GST. But as I said right in the beginning, there is no perfect beginning for a scheme like demonetization.
So you believe in the benefits,
it has its own cost, and probably the government has, in the last 1.5 years of their deliberation, calculated that fact, and the inconvenience to consumers basically was a de facto effect of less research being done by the government, because I think the execution was sundry in terms of the actual execution from 12 o'clock midnight. The problem was basically the after execution planning.
All
I
right.
think that's
so
exactly
Azim
what
Sanyal
has
believes that
hurt, and
demonetization
most of
as
the
an
speakers are
idea
talking
was
about
good
that.
for us, but the execution was lacking. Last voice on the panel, Mohammad Khan of the Congress. Go ahead.
Yes, Faye, this is an unmitigated disaster. It was an act of madness and hubris. What's worse is that a year has passed, 150 lives have been lost, and the spokesperson for the BJP stands here touting this as a success. I don't know what human cost is acceptable to them, but this isn't acceptable to any one of us. Now, very quickly to summarize, what were the three stated objectives? Terror funding, black money, and counterfeit notes. As Mr. Guruswamy pointed out, none of these objectives have been achieved. In fact, there was a 33% increase in terror activities year on year as compared to before demonetization. Counterfeit currency was a minuscule percentage that barely justified carrying out such an exercise. As for the fact that 3 lakh crores will return, as Prime Minister Modi announced on the Red Fort on 15th August, this was followed by the RBI's claim that barely 1% has actually returned. So all the grounds on which you promised to effect this demonetization scheme have fallen flat. You carried out, and to show you how badly implemented it was, something about which we till date haven't gotten an acknowledgement, 74 notifications were issued by the RBI. You remember when Prime Minister Modi said 50 days? Well, those first 50 days, they played havoc with the citizenry of this country. The GDP, as Mr. Guruswamy rightly pointed out, fell by 2 points. This wiped out jobs. Let us take the index, the labor force capital index, which shows you how many jobs are added year on year. That showed a decrease to 43%. That is unprecedented. That translates to roughly, and this is a conservative estimate, a loss of 15 lakh jobs in a year, Faye. Think of all of those families that are dependent on those jobs.
Yes.
Finally, I will say this, Mr. Arvind Gupta, you and your party have behaved in an extremely arrogant manner. The entire nation has suffered as a result of your arrogance. In the words of Dr. Manmohan Singh, please stop politicking and start rebuilding the economy. The time is now.
We have a couple of more. We have voices that our reporters have gone out and spoken to. Arvind Gupta, I want to play out these voices and then I'll come back to you to respond to everything you've heard. Can we play out the voices of Indians, regular Indians, on what they feel as well, please?
लोगों को दिक्कत आने लगी, बहुत सी दिक्कत आने, और ये आम परेशानी आम लोगों के लिए हुई। बड़े बड़े लोग तो कोई लाइन में खड़े रहे नहीं, और बड़े लोगों को उसकी भनक पहले ही लग चुकी थी कि ऐसे ऐसे होने वाला है, इसलिए उन्होंने क्या किया, अपना पैसा जो है काला धन वाइट में बदल दिया।
तकलीफ हुई हमको जब टाइम से नोटबंदी हुई तो मेरा पर्सनल काम था, उस समय पैसा नहीं मिलता था, अपने काम के लिए दूसरों से पैसा लेके आना पड़ा, बहुत तकलीफ हुई। अब नोटबंदी ठीक है, बंद हुई, तकलीफ हुआ हमको, अगर उससे कुछ हमको फ़ायदा मिलता था तो लगता था हाँ नोटबंदी से फ़ायदा। हमको हर चीज़ महंगी हो गई है, हर चीज़ महंगी मिल रही है, काम धंधे में भी तकलीफ हो रहा है, पैसा नहीं है तो काम में लग नहीं रहा।
तकलीफें तो काफ़ी झेलनी पड़ी थी सर, 2-2 घंटे 3-3 घंटे लाइन लगा करके हमने अपने पैसे जमा किए, जो हमारी कमाई की जो मतलब ब्लैक मनी नहीं थी, वाइट मनी थी, उसके भी लिए भी हमको लाइन लगाना पड़ा। ब्लैक मनी वाले तो अपना काम ऊपर से कर लिए, जो करना था वो कर लिए, हम बाकी गरीब लोगों को लाइन पे खड़ा कर दिए कि आपकी जो मेहनत की कमाई है उसको भी लेकर वाइट करवाओ लाइन में खड़ा होकर।
बहुत बड़ी तकलीफ ये है कि उसमें समय पैसे की बहुत कटौती हो गई थी, मतलब पैसा मिल रहा ही नहीं था लोगों को, बैंक में लाइन मारामारी हो रही थी उस समय, और बैंक में आदमी अंदर जाने को पैसा ही नहीं मिल रहा था, अपना पैसा निकालने के लिए अपने को नहीं पैसा मिल रहा था।
And these are regular citizens speaking to us today. Our reporters went out and spoke to them today. Arvind Gupta, I'm going to go back to the 10 points that you made. Watershed moment, not in isolation, SIT set up, black money law, 22 million Jandan accounts, a Benami law, income disclosure, and now we've discovered shell companies, suspicious transactions, and $45 billion. Was it necessary to lock every single Indian out of their bank accounts, deny them access to their own money in order to achieve these things? The government has the ability, Arvind Gupta, to achieve these things without having to shock the system into paralysis for what was a couple of weeks.
Hey, I have listened to you and I must congratulate you and your channel for finding almost one set of people who have given a very single set of opinion. I think your opinion poll on Twitter actually differs with the voices that we heard. But having said that, a lot can be said in hindsight. It's very easy to...
If I may, Arvind Gupta, please forgive me for interrupting you. I don't normally interrupt my guests, but Azim Sanyal is pro-demonetization. Araj Chaturvedi was a massive believer when we first met him. So, and I told you, our poll has actually shown that 60% of the people who voted...
The 58...
yes. Go ahead.
Yeah, so the 58 the 58 cases of the different changes or procedural changes that happened during the 50 days of demonetization were showing signs that the government was listening, it was understanding. There was no simulation of this exercise. So there were a lot of changes that were required, and the government listened. Apart from, my colleague from Congress is accusing of us being arrogant. We actually made changes as we go, and that's a sign of agility. Now, a couple of things. I think the real estate sector, the prices definitely have come down, and that is a positive sign for the consumer. So there's a large set of consumer, and we all know the real estate industry
target of demonetization.
Heavily, and somebody else mentioned it, that's where the black money used to be parked. So that where the black money used to be parked. So in that case, there is an impact, and the prices have leveled down. And the biggest thing that I'm saying is now workers want to get their money directly into their bank accounts. There has been a provision to make sure that the wages are paid, and a lot of workers in Assam tea states to industries in Noida, they have all appreciated that, and that is the transformation that people cannot game the system. And if that means that for the short term, the industries which were gaming the system, the businesses which were gaming the system are hurt, they have been hurt. They have to re-normalize themselves. There is no doubt about that. Everybody is talking about 16,000 crores coming back. Nobody put a figure from the government. Nobody ever put a figure. Let me clarify all the doubts. Nobody ever put a figure from the government. All this was Google economists speculating different numbers.
So what is the figure from the government?
End of the day, today we are at about 3 lakh crore less cash. And that's very, very important.
No, but to your point, Mr. Arvind Gupta, R.R. Chaturvedi, of the fact that real estate prices have come down, how was real estate prices coming down a target of demonetization? It was never meant to. Was demonetization done to bring down property prices?
Let me correct him.
I would only say, Arvind Gupta ji, all cash money, what you are believing is a black money, that is a wrong notion. Black money is a non-tax paid money which could have come out by,
I never said that.
Which could have come out in a better way. Let us not identify all cash money as black money.
We had a plumbing leakages.
Yes.
We are fixing the plumbing.
You're fixing the plumbing.
When you have bank accounts,
Mr. Chaturvedi, are you still being asked for bribes?
You have a problem with the plumbing.
I'll just come back. I'll come back to you.
Is the real estate industry still being asked to pay bribes? Is there a problem with the plumbing? Is the real estate industry still being asked to pay?
The plumbing leakage should have been in a better position and a better way, not affecting the lower class of people or middle class of people who are laborers and working industry, unorganized sector. You have hit it badly today. Till today, the industry has not revived from demonetization, number one. Number two, what we are talking about shell companies, I'll tell you, what I have been observing, 2,24,000 companies, what we are talking, they are not all shell companies which have been operating for the cash account. There are certain companies which had become defunct for years together, and they have been striked out.
So Mr. Chaturvedi, I have a question for you.
And today, because they were defunct, you have blacklisted the directors also.
I want to ask you one question. A company maintains zero operating income but 100 accounts. Will you not call it a shell company?
Zero operating company.
I'm very surprised
not a shell.
Today we are defending shell companies.
Arvindji, a shell company where you are operating a black money transaction, that you can call it as a shell company. But there are certain companies which are non-operational, non-functional for years together. If those companies have been striked off, you cannot call it as a shell company.
I am not even.
We're going down this. We're going down this route.
Companies which had hundreds of accounts and they were transacting between accounts to take money.
Agreed, but they are limited companies. They are not pool at 24,000 companies.
I have a specific question for you. We've had conversations on the show in the past about how several developers get asked for bribes on various levels of approvals in order to get their building construction permits passed. Those bribes are invariably paid in cash because those are the demands of the industry. Has the demand for bribes stopped?
No. The demand for bribes have not stopped at all. On the contrary, the difficulty has become because we are not able to pay bribe. That's why the proposal was not moving ahead now. The industry, as I told you, is going ahead with many issues which we cannot talk openly, practically today, as a developer, because we are business people. But the real fact is, everybody is talking about the bribes have stopped, the leakages have stopped, but nothing has happened in the ground reality.
Okay.
If you don't pay, your work is not getting done.
Now, what happens to the cash that is paid? To answer your question of leakages, Mr. Arvind Gupta, our reporter, did a sting operation at the jewelry businesses in Mumbai. I'm going to play just one clip to show you whether or not the leakage has stopped and where the cash is going. Can we just play one clip out for Mr. Arvind Gupta's benefit, please?
अब मुझे आप ये बताओ कि
एक अन्नो अन्नो दट्टा आती अन्नो नहीं है
मोड ऑफ पेमेंट ओके हमारे पास है कैश
कैश मिल जाएगा
कोई रिस्ट्रिक्शन वगैरह तो नहीं है ना कैश पे कोई रिस्ट्रिक्शन तो नहीं है ना कैश पे
बिल लेंगे तो है बाकी तो आपको पैन कार्ड वगैरह देना बाकी तो कुछ भी नहीं है बिल नहीं लेंगे तो बिल लेंगे तो 3% GST है नहीं लेंगे तो आपको कुछ भी देना नहीं पड़ेगा हॉलमार्क चेक करके लेने का तो फायदा
हाँ मुझे बस प्योरिटी चाहिए
प्योरिटी होगा ये सभी जब हॉलमार्क किया हुआ है सभी जो देख रहे सब हॉलमार्क है 22 कैरेट हॉलमार्क है बिल चाहिए नहीं चाहिए आपके ऊपर नहीं चाहिए तो कोई बात नहीं हॉलमार्क देख के तो 50 लिख के दे देंगे वो वैसे ही लेके जाते साइकिल जी वैसे ही लेके जाते बिल चाहिए थोड़ा बहुत तो वो भी ले सकते हैं GST देना पड़ेगा
नहीं बिल नहीं चाहिए
तो आपकी मर्जी
बिल नहीं चाहिए तो मैं अगर 15 जो मैंने आपको बोला अगर 15 आपको देना चाहूँ कैश में तो ले लेंगे
दे सकते कितना भी दे सकते
So what you just saw there is a jeweler who said you don't have, I won't get a bill, you won't have to pay GST, you don't have to give me your PAN card, you don't have to give me any documentation, I will take any amount of cash from you in return for gold. And we have other evidence which we'll be glad to send to you, Arvind Gupta, where people are saying things like, we'll come to your house and pick up the cash. Any amount of cash in return for gold. So what are the leakages we're talking about?
Yeah. So there is still, Faye, I think you are being naive when you say, I have presented this number, 14.75 lakh crore rupees still exist in cash and they will continue to operate. But the operative word there, if I am surprised that you are bringing this on a TV show, is that he enticed the buyer into saying, don't take a GST invoice. The answer lies right there. I told you the future after demonetization was invoicing. If you take the invoice, you finish the time. Hold on, can I respond? If the 3% GST that has to be paid, the consumer has to agree with that. The consumer is trying to evade the 3%.
Arvind Gupta, the cash is still going around the system is my point.
Negative sentiment.
The cash is still going around the system is my point. Without GST, without KYC, without cash. 40 lakh rupees cash.
There is 14.7 lakh.
So here's the point, and I'm going to go back to Prashant Bhushan and Mohan Guruswamy on this. If you're telling me that someone can buy gold jewelry for 40 lakh rupees of cash, where is this person getting the cash from? Where is the cash coming from? That's the question. And for all of the other things that we've been told, 3.68 lakh crore rupees that has been blocked in people's bank accounts, 2 lakh shell companies. Who does this money belong to? Where are these investigations gone? Who has gone to jail?
I can only comment on this thing that it is the GST enticement, not taking an invoice, which is very, very wrong, which is what is prompting the jeweler to even suggest that go and give me cash. If that GST invoice is raised, that transaction, even though paid by cash, becomes formal, and both the jeweler and the consumer become accountable to that.
All right, and this is a reaction of to my naivety. Mohan Guruswamy, please go ahead, and after that Prashant Bhushan. Mohan Guruswamy, my question is, Who have we investigated? Who have we jailed? Who has been brought to book for this black money, for counterfeit notes or terror funding through the process of demonetization?
I had heard in another program earlier this evening in which I took part that 1% of the population owns 58% of the income in this country. Have you come across any one of that 1% who has been raided, from whom money has been seized? All the big cats, all the people we know who have Swiss bank accounts, who have whose names have appeared in the papers, who everybody knows have got huge sums of money. Has anybody surrendered any money? Has anybody been raided? Has anybody been asked? You're after the small fish. And what you've got is you seized 55,000 accounts and then you got 22,000 crore rupees. You look at the scale of things. Look at the GDP of this country. 300 lakh crores, 160 lakh crores. And then you get 22,000 crores from it and you say it's a big achievement. And you disturb the entire the trust system built in this country, the tranquility built into the economy, everything. Now you've got to put things in relation. You've got to say that taxes went up, number of new taxes went up by 23%. But tell the truth, because the previous year it went up by 27%. The number of new taxpayers, the finance ministry says 93 lakhs, the economic survey says 82 lakhs. And the actual number was, last year it was 76 lakhs. So what is the big growth? So nothing really has happened, we've got to make you applaud for this disaster which visited the country. And if you lost 2% of GDP, 3 lakh crores, that money has gone, is not coming back. You can write it off against Mr. Modi's account. Because whatever you do, you might get your growth rates up to 10%, 12% or whatever. That 3 lakh crores is not coming back. How long will it take to earn that money? I think, anybody can answer that. But I think you've got to see things in relation to what happened. I think maybe I would give the Prime Minister a benefit of doubt for good intentions. He was hasty, he was not experienced, he has never been in Delhi, never had a macroeconomic view of things. He did things in a hurry, and there must be a political price for it. Don't say that you are attacking me because you have black money. And that's not fair. That's not an argument. Don't say that, I won UP elections, therefore it's fine. Masses can ratify anything. But something wrong is wrong. Even Hitler won elections. Mind you, Hitler came to power by elections. Not because, some coup put him there. So I think, you've got to get some rationality into this debate. And if things have gone wrong, stop, say I'm sorry. And let's get on with life. Don't come here every night and put up absurd arguments in favor of it.
Arun Gupta, Goan Guruswamy believes the government should just apologize and begin fixing the problem. Do you agree? What is your rebut to that?
Well, I don't think so. I have to agree or comment on his views necessarily. And I think the Prime Minister owned this process on November 8th. He came on TV on 31st December. He has completely owned this, and whatever people called it only a political move, it was never that. And it is in his conscience and in the party's conscience and the government's conscience has been very clear. We are clear that it will remove the long-term structure and imbalances in the economy, and it will be the plumbing that we are fixing, not for today but for times to come.
All right, but Mohammed Khan, I see your hand up, but Amrita on the phone line from Bangalore. Amrita, very quickly, go ahead.
Good evening, and good evening all panelists. So before I move ahead, Mr. Arvind Gupta, I actually voted for BJP in 2014, so don't say that I'm from opposition or somebody hired. So that's the first point. And the second thing is that, I just want to ask a very simple question as a simple voter. Where is all the money that you had talked about recovering? You said to the tunes of lakhs of crores you have recovered. So many shell companies have been stricken off. Where is the data of whose shell company, who was responsible, what are the individual names? You never, hit the opposition parties when you raided their resorts and all that. You never hid those names. So why hiding those names and shell companies now?
All right, fair enough. Where are the names of the people who we have actually found? Rakesh from Navi Mumbai. Rakesh, go ahead.
Hello.
Yes, go ahead. Go ahead.
Hi, how are you?
I'm fine. Go ahead, Rakesh.
Yeah, my simple question is this: that just recently, 15 days back, okay, here in Navi Mumbai, there was an APMC of a dealer. In his house, there was a robbery of 2 crores 90 lakhs. Okay. So from within 1 year, how did he collect this cash and how was it?
Where did the 2 crores 90 lakh rupees get into one person's home? Where is that money coming from? Shrikant on the phone line from Mumbai. Shrikant, go ahead.
Yeah, good evening, Faye and respected panelists. I'm a common man and I'm Aam Aadmi. I did not vote for the BJP, so don't call me a Bhakt or a Sanghi. All I have to say is that, in my opinion, 1 year is too short for anyone to conclude whether demo was a hit or a miss. You know, it's too short because of such a big-natured reform. Having said that, I said 3 things are important to me as a common man. What I see to prove whether this is successful or not is, number one is a quarter-on-quarter GDP trend. You know, if it was 5.7, it's moving up consistently, then I think we should be fine with it. The second one is the position of India in the World Corruption Index. Okay, there are objective, measurable parameters which are ranked by a world body. We need to see how India moves up in that, like the ease of doing business that we have seen. And the third one is the rise in the tax collections, because that's going to help the government get revenue and spend on public spending. It's going to really help the economy and the common people. Finally, I think we should leave it to the electorate to decide this. While we may argue in TV channels, studios, lawyers, economists, and then, you know, advisors to former finance ministers, all those are wise people. But what really matters at the end of the day is what the common man feels. If the election results are showing in one direction,
you are the wisest
I think
of
we
all.
should accept it. And okay, that's all I want to say. Thank you.
Right. So, Shrikant, I understand and I believe what you're saying, that the electorate has to decide, and the whole point of these television discussions is to bring you the learned voices, so the electorate has information and has the ability to understand various points of view before the electorate decides. Prashant Bhushan, I'm going to come to you with the first question that our viewer asked us, which is, who do these accounts belong to? If the government has, quote, banned directors who can no longer be directors, frozen accounts, and found shell companies, why don't we have names of these people? Why haven't we seen anyone being dragged off to jail?
No, absolutely. You see, the government keeps banding about these figures that we have closed so many shell companies, we have issued notices to so many people, we have started prosecutions against so many people, etc. Let them give the names and put these facts out in the public. In fact, the SIT, this Arvind Gupta mentioned about the SIT. The SIT gave several reports, made various recommendations, but my own information is that most of those recommendations have not been accepted or implemented by the government. Now, does the government not owe a duty to put out those reports and recommendations in the public domain and say what it has done about those? There was this one shell company from Singapore called Biometrics, which transferred 6,500 crores to 4 Mukesh Ambani companies in India. This information was sent by the Indian High Commission to the Indian government. I myself wrote a letter to the Prime Minister about this, giving all these facts, giving that letter from the Indian High Commission that this is a shell company which has no funds, no business whatsoever, no turnover, yet it sends the largest FDI to India, 6,530 crores. Obviously, this is laundered money. This is money which has been siphoned out of these countries and then routed back into Mukesh Ambani companies. At least this should be caught. But this was also not done. He mentioned about less cash economy, or more digital transactions, more bank transactions. What has been done to political parties? Political parties should have been the first to be made to go into no cash. But instead of that, what has been done is something totally retrograde. Today, 3 changes have been made to political funding. First, they allowed foreign donations to be given to political parties by subsidiaries of foreign companies by an amendment in the Finance Act last year. Secondly, in this Finance Act, they removed the cap on corporate donations to political parties from 7.5% of annual profits to no
so
cap.
Political fundings have been made more and more opaque. I just want to give, Mohammed Khan has had something to say. I beg your pardon, Mr. Bhushan. Mohammed Khan, go ahead very quickly.
Very quickly.
Yes.
Very quickly. Arvind, my point is directed at you. Arvind, you guys confuse a cult of personality for a legacy. Stage manage events, the Prime Minister coming out claiming credit, these are events that create a cult of personality, but you will not get a legacy through actions like this. Number two, please start relying more on experts. You people demonize experts in education. Raghuram Rajan in his book rightly pointed out he was barely consulted, and when he was, he advised against it because he said the benefits are far outweighed by the negative consequences. And three, and my final point is this, please stop relying on electoral victories as a sort of a vindication of your decision. You lost in Punjab and you even lost Goa, technically speaking. So by that logic, two states have rejected your demonetization.
That's not a fair argument.
That's what I wanted to say.
The BJP has formed a government in Goa, so you can't go after the technical argument there. And it won the largest state by a mammoth victory. It won UP. And if you count the number of people who vote in UP, that outnumbers both Goa and Punjab for that argument, Mohammed Khan. But Arvind Gupta, you want to respond to Mohan Guruswamy, Prashant Bhushan and Mohammed Khan. Go ahead.
I think there is the Congress Party spokesperson, and before that Mr. Prashant Bhushan. I don't want to comment on the individual arguments that Mr. Prashant Bhushan is making on certain cases. I have no knowledge of those. But two very quick points. The shell companies, their directors, they've been banned. So the caller from in the last caller.
No, Arvind Gupta, banned is not good enough. Banned is not good enough. I'm sorry, banned is not good enough. There has to be, if you're telling me people were doing illegal things, there has to be illegal. There has to be legal action taken against them. Banned, after the kind of pain that the country went through, banned can't be good enough.
Yeah, so there is a process of taking action, Faye. Just because Mr. Prashant Bhushan chooses to name one and not the other does not mean the government has
What is the process and how long will it take?
You also have certain things of privacy and everything else. No, let me be very clear on this. The last thing that I want to say is, you talk about digital transactions. Our country has become a very digitized, and
that was not
the number that nobody is talking about.
That was not the aim of demonetization.
Transactions. 1 lakh transactions have gone up to 76 million transactions. So there is a lot of things that are happening. People are using digital means.
That could have been done. No, Arvind Gupta, the government could have asked us nicely. The government could have said, "Will you do more digital transactions? Here, why can't you use this Paytm app? We think it's very good." The government could have actually gone out and taught people how to do digital transactions. There was no need to shock the system to do so.
There is no Faye. You have to understand. Faye, you have to understand. There is no one outcome. We made it about one outcome. There is no one outcome. Let me just leave it there.
Mohan Guruswamy. No, let's not. I mean, Arvind Gupta, you can't say let's leave it there. Mohan Guruswamy, go ahead.
1 point.
Mohan Guruswamy, go ahead.
1 point. Just 1 point. Just 1 point. In October 2016, there were 118 million digital transactions. It went up to about 140 in the months after, and is now settled down to 132. I mean, where are these huge, from 1 lakh to 74 million come up? You know, these are absurd figures. That's the kind of thing I warn against. This going into this hyperbole overdrive. And you confuse the debate.
I think your data is incorrect,
Put the facts up clearly. I mean, these are figures coming out of government. No, it is not incorrect. It is correct. It is correct.
No, my figures are very correct.
Transactions and 74 million transactions after that.
You talk about digital overall.
I think Mohan Guruswamy is asking you to go back a year and compare it to the previous year and the year before that.
No.
But Arvind Gupta,
87 crores.
Arvind Gupta, let's not change the goalpost again. Digitization was never a target of demonetization. There were clear 3 targets of demonetization: terror funding, counterfeit notes, and black money. Digitization was not listed on that list. So we can argue about the numbers of digitization, but if that was the aim of the government, you could have just asked the citizens nicely.
I'm very surprised when you cannot have an audit trail. Can you let me comment? When you cannot have an audit trail, how do you fix the plumbing? When you do KYC of bank accounts, you create a person that can be associated with that bank account.
How much money that was actually brought in, how much of it was counterfeit?
And those are through digital transactions. Then
of the money that was received by the RBI, how much of it was counterfeit? And do we know who submitted counterfeit money to the banks during demonetization? Where is the trail? Who submitted counterfeit money to the banks during demonetization and after it? Where is the trail of that money? Do we know how much of it was counterfeit?
We know 7.36 lakh notes were counterfeit.
And that is what?
A lot of counterfeit money, people who deal with counterfeit are not going to go and give it back to the bank. People who deal with counterfeit are not going to go and deal with back with the bank. Let's talk legible here.
According to the according to the RBI, 0.001% of the notes that were submitted to the RBI were fake.
Yes.
Now, where is the paper trail on where these notes came from and who was dealing fake money?
Collected.
Do we know where that money came from?
Has the RBI sifted through all of the money it recovered at that point? Does it know?
Those are notes from the past. Those are notes from the past.
Past of what?
I am very surprised. Those are notes from the past. Going into the future, and that is, you are answering your own question. Going into the future, when you go into the future, you know which bank accounts have transacted what money, the audit trail gets created, and that's the benefit of digital transactions.
I've just illustrated to you a developer who tells us he's still being asked for bribes, a jeweler who is willing to actually turn cash into gold.
I have given my arguments, but I think you missed the point again, Faye, and maybe I should repeat it. And it's a very simple repeat. If you are going to go and entice a consumer by saying, I will give you no invoice,
if you're a BJP member, then demonetization was the best thing to have happened to you.
Arvind Gupta,
you don't have to worry about changing your money.
Arvind Gupta, if you're going to entice a consumer with a 3% discount, that consumer should not be able to cough up 40 lakh rupees cash, is my point. Nobody should have 40 lakh rupees cash that they're willing to go home and bring for you. That was the whole point of demonetization.
Correct. Congress ministers have been found to have a lot
so put them in jail.
So
where are these Congress ministers? I demand as a citizen of this country, if you're going to make allegations that people have been found with lots and lots of cash, put them in jail. Let's see someone go to jail, Arvind Gupta. Where are these people? These numerous raids that we did on people, on the Chief Secretary of Karnataka, on DK Shivkumar in Bangalore, it was carried across all of the media. Where are the charge sheets? Where are the arrests? Put these people in jail. Let's see them go to jail. People stood in line. Short-term pain for long-term gain. Let's see the long-term gain.
Anybody who has been found, anybody will go to jail. Let me assure you that. They're not going to escape the law.
I think the messaging by the government has been very wrong for the common man, in fact, in terms of what are the objectives of demonetization. I think that messaging needs to be corrected 1 year later by the ruling government, in fact. And the first messaging should be basically, we are not moving into a cashless economy. We are basically moving into a less cash economy. The second point to be noted is that we are moving towards a formal economy from an informal economy. Now, all these are basically macro subjects. They are to be debated on a micro level when we have a subject matter in terms of a demonetization affecting a consumer. We are doing a lot of postmortem basically about the 1 year. Demonetization and its effect and 1 year, they are definitely not related. Demonetization effect will actually reflect in probably 7 or 8 years, anything like GST.
If
we start analyzing
all right, fair enough. I'm just wondering then if we'll be able to tell.
Since you are such a consumer expert, tell me, please tell me
the demonetization. So we got
Mr. Guruswamy, very quickly.
Mr. Demonetization and
how does the construction worker get into the formal sector?
Yeah, correct.
Right, I have to end this here because we've run out of time, but we don't have some very key answers for questions that were asked on this show. For example, if we just look at the 3 targets of demonetization, and we should actually keep it pure to the 3 targets that were given to us by the government. Target number 1, terror funding. The stone pelting and the incidents of insurgency have not come down. In fact, they have gone up. Target number 2, if we look at counterfeit notes, we don't have adequate data from the RBI, and if we do have 0.001% of the notes that were given back to the banks were counterfeit, where is the trail of who was handing out those counterfeit notes? And finally, if we're talking about black money, we've proven on this channel that black money is not just alive and well, it is thriving. We have developers who tell us they're still being asked for bribes. We've found evidence of the fact that jewelers are willing to take any amount of cash in return for gold, effectively finding new places to park black money. What have we achieved? What have we achieved in return for over 100 lives of citizens that were lost, inconvenience, and the jobs? The government needs to be able to give us hard, clear data. And until we have that hard, clear data, the question of whether or not demonetization helped us or hurt us will still loom large. Thanks for watching.